All right, YouTube, it's quarantine and I'm getting bored. So I figured I'd do a review of 1 year with my Ice Bear Mini Jeep. And I gotta say, I wanted this thing to be cool. And it is cool. But man, if you guys buy one of these, beware of who assembled it and make sure you go over this thing with a fine-tooth comb before you turn anybody loose on it. To be honest, mine is either a lemon or is just, I don't know. Now that I've kind of been through it, it's getting better. But let me go over this thing. I'll show you some of the stuff I've dealt with. So the Ice Bear Mini Jeep. We got this for my boy for Christmas 2018. This thing, we've had it about a year, and about the first 10 times we rode it, stuff fell off. I bought this from what I thought was a reputable local dealer. Not gonna name him, but I should. Claimed he went through everything, made sure these things were all right, ready to go. Yeah, he basically bolted the seat and windshield frame on, called it good, sent it down the road. Didn't check anything on it. There was no grease in the knuckles. There's no grease on any of the grease zerks, to be honest. The seat fell off the second time we rode it. The windshield was loose when we got it. The ignition switch constantly is loosening up and falling out. It will not stay tight. I'm gonna have to put some Loctite on them threads. The carburetor fell off while riding it. The fuel pump has fallen off while riding it. And on the 5th time we rode this thing, the steering separated at 20 mile an hour, sending it into a ditch. On its lid, on top of me, and there was about a foot of water in there. Had it been my kid, there would have been some probably pretty serious injuries. Luckily I came away with a pretty scratched up face and some bruised ribs out of the deal. Damage done to the Jeep actually was quite minor for what kind of accident it was. My foot went through the body behind that diamond plate. I've epoxied it. I did some Gorilla Tape. Then we did some aluminum diamond plate to hide the damage. The dash cracked right there during that accident, and the windshield, the plexiglass windshield shattered. Other things to note on this is in the year we've had it, it's always been stored indoors. This is probably the dirtiest it's ever been, and that's because my yard's a little muddy right now. We've probably still ridden this thing less than 20 times. It's always been stored indoors in my barn. And if we look here, anything chrome or metal is rusting. The speedometer housing, the seat belts, all of it is rusting. Come up here, the hood latches, all of it. Underneath is pretty nice, still, and pretty clean. Had pretty good luck with the mechanicals. I mean, it sounds like it's going to come apart when you're running wide open, but yeah, it is. I don't know. This is kind of the stuff we've done. I love the adjustable seat. Oh, there's the corrosion on the steering column. The mirrors vibrated off. They're in the barn. I need to fix them. So you can see I've put gaskets and Gorilla Tape and all kinds of stuff on this thing because the vibration and rattling and noises were absolutely awful. When we got it, the battery hold down, there wasn't one. Dealer said tough luck, that's what happens. There's one of the bolts I had to replace that fell out of the fuel pump. Yeah, so that's where we're at. It's fun to ride. We'll take it for a ride later. But I just want everybody to know buyer beware on these things. It's been fun to ride. Take a look at there's the headlight switches. Like I said, it's been stored indoors. Yeah, I don't know how else to do it, but traction's been good. Live axle, it tends to push the front end a little bit. But outside of that, as long as you kind of know what to expect, it's a go-kart. I did not expect the steering to separate though. So when you get these things, take the steering apart, Loctite it. You can see where the tire rubs. When you turn it full lock, it's ripped the VIN plate off. Luckily on this one, it's also engraved into the bumper. But it seems to run all right now. The carburetor's been bolted down. Idle's still a little finicky. I've been told that you can bolt a Mikuni on here pretty easy. Probably should do that. The LED gear selector indicator flakes out. Half the time it doesn't work unless you rev the motor. Oh, and you guys might notice the spare tire missing. The spare tire is missing because there's no support for it. And you can see what it's doing to the thin plastic body. So I need to now tear this thing apart, flip the body upside down, and I'm gonna have to put some reinforcement in there so I can put the spare tire back on. But this is our Ice Bear mini Jeep that we've had for about a year, and I'm gonna continue working on it to try to make it better. But so far, I haven't been impressed for the money. I spent a lot of extra money on this to get it assembled from a local dealer, and I will say we were pretty disappointed. All right, so let's fire this thing up. We'll take it for a quick ride. I don't have a GoPro or anything right now. I loaned mine out to another gentleman. Check out Unofficial Use Only's YouTube channel. He's been getting some cool stuff going over there. So this thing does have a parking brake. It's kind of cool. I do not have it on, but there's this lever down here for that. You got your choke, and gear selector. This has not been started today, so it's gonna be real cold-blooded. And apparently that's in gear. It has been sitting in the sun, so it may run all right. Hear that rattle's already starting, and I need some choke still. Scrub in the front. There we go. Kind of seeing the gear selector flake out a little bit. Go to third gear. Now these are advertised as you can take off in any gear. I would probably, oh shoot, and she quit. Yeah, very cold-blooded. No way to adjust the idle on this unit. California emissions, go California. My big body cannot start off in third gear. It bogs. I can start off in second gear. It does have a speedometer. So I don't know if you could hear that with the wind noise. I'll have to review it a little bit. But these are advertised as takeoff in any gear. I'm about 210. It struggles if I try to take off in third gear. I can take off in first or second gear. First gear is real deep, real short. Once it's moving in second, heck, my kid plays in second most of the times to keep him not going too fast. I have had this up to, I want to say it was 40 on the GPS. If I remember right, it's 42-ish. So it'll move, it'll scoot. But like I said, make sure you've gone through your steering and Loctited everything. Loctited wheels, Loctited whatever you can Loctite, because it might come off. I had the knuckle bolts were also loose when I got this unit. Pretty much anything safety related that might make this thing come apart, I would make sure you put some Loctite on and tighten. The rubbers underneath the hood, I didn't do this when I had the hood open earlier, but all the rubber is already rotten. You see that already cracking, barely a year old. Look at right there, it's cracking. This thing's barely a year old. Stored in my barn. It's not climate controlled. This was a leftover model sitting on the floor when I bought it, so they'd probably been sitting on their floor a year, but it was inside the showroom, climate controlled, so take that for what it's worth. Anyways, as I said, that's our experience, and I'll continue on with the video here in a second. Oh, I just remember some more of the stuff that happened. The headlights broke in the accident, so I got to try to find some headlights. Finding parts seems to be all right. You just got to trust where you're buying them from, and that's where I'm having a hard time figuring out who to trust when I'm buying them. Love to get a new body. Unfortunately, I can't find anybody that has a blue one. At least just throw on the shelf, as they appear to be so thin. Like I said, I put my foot right through it. They're probably about an eighth inch thick or so. I haven't measured. But that is Ice Bear Mini Jeep. That's been our experience. Granted, I think part of that was the dealer. He did claim that we'd have to put a wrench to it once in a while when we bought it. I did not expect the second, third, fourth, fifth time riding it that I'd have to be going over bolts and stuff on a vehicle I was buying assembled and supposedly ready to go. It was by far not ready to go. It was by far not ready to be turned over to my son on Christmas. I've finally gotten it to the point where I will turn him loose in it and let him ride, but it still makes me nervous. So yeah, that's where we're at. Thanks, YouTube. And that's my first review that I've done on this channel. So thanks, guys.